Was Ruud the first? Tim. Ben. Was Ruud the first Dutch manager in the Premier League?
Yes.
Was Ruud the first Dutch manager in the Premier League? I think he was.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'll find out.
Was he?
Ask Pat in here.
He can't have been.
I think he was, no?
You know the guest that we've coming on now? Have you forgot him?
What? Ruud!
Oh, take Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Ruud Gullit! Egg!
I thought you were Ruud van Nistelrooy.
I think he was one of the first foreign managers. Who was the first ever foreign manager in the Premier League?
I think it might have been a guy. First one to come into my head was a fella called Joseph Venglos at Villa, early 90s.
Yeah?
There might have been one before him. Joseph Venglos.
It was a big thing at the time, wasn't it?
Dutch manager, that's interesting. What would have been Ruud, yeah? What was that that was... I played in his first game as manager of Newcastle, but he was obviously Chelsea, wasn't he, first? Yeah.
Do you know, he did... We played a semi-final against him at Villa Park. I was centre-back for United. He did me in the air on a cross.
You were small for the centre-back, weren't you?
He was a massive unit, by the way.
Oh, I know.
Fucking monster.
I've got a great story playing against him. Oh, I know. So he would have managed Chelsea. What would that have been? That would have been 96.
I think he's the first Dutch manager in the Premier League.
Don't Google it.
Yes, right. That's their autumnal colours coming into spring.
I think it's time now, isn't it? I like that green. I like what you've done.
Yeah.
I like the colour. Yeah, I like what you've done there.
I'm always blue, aren't I?
Yeah. Hey, what's this, Gary? Is it a new one from you or something?
I like it, actually. Yes, Ruud.
Yeah.
Yes, Ruud.
Yeah, Ruud,
Is it the special chair?
Yes.
What a legend.
Do I have to pour it in this? Yes, sir.
No.
Yeah.
Keep it in there if you want.
No, you keep it in there if you want. But I would have poured it in there, Ruud, to be honest. I would have poured it in there.
When I met you the first time, you were a nice guy.
Yes, a nice
I'm not a nice guy, Ruud.
Oh, he's a lovely guy.
He changed.
No, he's lovely.
Such a nice guy, Ruud.
The golf.
He's not a nice guy, Ruud. Right.
No?
No. You know that, though, don't you?
He is a
Look,
nice guy. What
there's comments in Holland about him.
Said
He
about
said,
my James.
He's not a nice guy.
There's comments in Holland about him.
About him, yes. But
Why?
the only
What,
thing
like
is,
Van der Vaart?
they don't understand him. They have to
What was that?
Google
Don't
Translate, and then we understand what he was saying.
That's why they think he's a good guy.
Good.
I'm not trying to think what bad guy. I'm actually a good guy.
Who did I see that Van der Vaart having a go at the other day? He's
Proper on the front foot as a pundit, isn't he, Van?
He slaughtered someone the other day. I can't remember. Every time I see him, he's just hammering
But
someone.
also, Snyder had been slaughtered also, I saw.
Snyder's as well.
Yeah, because he said that it was goalkeeper's mistake, the goals of Rice.
Was it?
Yeah.
You said
I agree
that.
with the first one.
No, the first
one,
was-
the wall. Not the wall.
The
is that
wall,
right?
yeah, the wall. But not the second one.
The second one was a brilliant strike.
Second one was
No
was
goalkeeper
perfect.
in the world is getting
Yeah,
that
no, if he
second
gets the
one.
wall, yeah, he got the wall wrong for the first goal.
Yeah.
But
You did say about that.
Remember we met, in the World Cup we met for breakfast. That time you caught me out when I was having breakfast. And obviously all the TV companies were staying in the same hotel, so we got on for breakfast. I bumped into Ruud, I obviously didn't know you. So we were chatting away, I'm being dead polite, and you spoke to me about injuries. He said, what's been the worst injury you had? He asked me, and I went, strange question. But I said, you seem really interested. I went, my cruciate. I said, then I had a hip operation, that set me back a little bit. And I said, what about you? And he said, I used to always get side strains. He was saying, I went, side strains? And he went, yeah, you know when you're lifting trophies. Remember? Yeah, you caught me.
all of a sudden you yourself, huh? And backstabbed you. And that's a horrible feeling. To keep a grudge, it's very difficult. But yeah, he
all
can't.
right, you did.
You can't swallow the turtle. You can't swallow it. Still here. Just played it to my centre half. And he said, what the hell is this? The fans saw us throwing everything at the bus. People sent boxes with spiders in there and snakes in there. You don't need to hit it hard. You just have to place it.
Thank you.
And then all of a sudden I scored a lot of goals. That's easy. Do you think that he would take it?
No, he
He would do the same thing.
He did.
And he slide tackles me, and I just jump up a little bit. Gets a red card, and I say, now we're gonna play football, okay?
Ruud, what are you up to now? Do you want to get back into management?
No.
No?
I didn't want to be manager anyway. I never wanted it. I just get dragged into it
How comes then?
by
Ken Bates.
no. Chelsea fans and the board wanted a trainer because Glenn Hoddle went to the national team.
Yes.
And they were begging me to do it. And I didn't want because I knew also that it's the end of my career as a football player. And plus you get a different relationship with the guys you play always with it. So I had to think about it, and so therefore that's how I rolled in it. But no, I didn't want to do it. But I did it because then all of a sudden you are in it, and then you think, okay, I'm good in it. Especially I started very well, and then you think you're good in it, and then you have to make also good decisions. And the only thing that is bad about this job is not the only thing, but the one certain thing you have is that you get sacked. That is what you know for sure. And it's not a nice feeling when you get sacked because, you think to yourself, I tried to do a good job, but then, yeah, that's what it is. You get sacked.
So what, you was thinking about the sack all the time, or just...
No. When it happens the first time, you think, you feel humiliated a little bit. You feel like, what is this? If things were bad, okay, you can understand. But if things are not going badly, so what is this? So there's a lot going on behind your back, a lot of things happening around you that you have no influence on. And that's what I hate about the job.
Were you sacked at Chelsea? At Chelsea?
Yeah.
They sacked you?
Yeah.
Because at the time it was like a bit of like you were negotiating with a new contract. You'd finished 4th and 6th.
No, I later on I found out that there was a lot of money going around because all of a sudden the best players wanted to come to Chelsea, and they were offering a lot of players that I didn't want.
Big money.
Big money. And then I said to myself, no, I don't need these players. For what reason? I don't need it. This is okay, So I was a little bit in the way.
This was before Abramovich, wasn't it?
Yes, I was in the way. And eventually, I think that Bates was also in difficulty with the club. I think he was almost bankrupt till Abramovich came. So it saved him also, and good also, because I have no grudge against Ken Bates, because lots of the things he didn't even know what was going on.
So who was doing it? Who was the person that was forcing the players on you? Who was doing it?
Yeah, there was people behind you and work with you that you think to yourself, my God. But they all get punished for what they did.
What, the sporting director or scouts or?
Yeah, and coaches what you had with you. Yeah, it was awful.
By your own coaches?
Yeah, you had people around you who took care of you. And then all of a sudden you think to yourself, huh? Backstabbed you. And that's a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
Especially because you did everything in the best possible way. And the worst thing of all was also my mom had breast cancer. So I had to go to Amsterdam all the time in order to support her. Yeah. And then they said, yeah, but he's never here because he's always in Amsterdam. And I said, okay.
And they knew. They knew.
Yeah. So therefore, that's horrible. When you find that out.
Did you ever confront them coaches after?
No, because after a while you have to think to yourself, okay, is it worth it to keep a grudge? It's very difficult. But he can't.
Right,
you can't swallow the turtle. You can't swallow it. Still here.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So it's stuck in there. So therefore, you need to. That's what you learn. But it's not nice.
Can I just something using obviously Alex Ferguson better than me? It was always a quote that always stuck in my head with Alex Ferguson. He said, "As a manager, you've got to control the board behind the board."
Wow.
You know what I mean? There's almost like obviously you've got the board, but there's so many people around a club. Like maybe even sponsors or
but
people.
It took him a while.
People. What I'm saying is, people always constantly chatting and
Yes,
talking and
yes.
just in people's ears all the time.
Yeah, but that's why, also he was also on the verge to be sacked at Man United because it didn't go that well in the beginning. So therefore, you need to be lucky that they stay with you, and then you have to build a team around you because he had people everywhere who was working for him and were the people who listens to all the bad things, and then they can help you, and then eventually you can have control. Took Wenger also a long time. It takes a long time, and nowadays clubs don't have a lot of patience anymore. They want instant success.
Yeah.
You see that clubs nowadays that is run more by business than by heart. You see it happens with Milan. It's also bad with Rome. You see it with Chelsea also, that you don't understand it for some reason.
Man United.
Man United. So it's almost, it feels as if the heart is out of the club.
Yeah.
For instance, I remember also when Souness met the new owners when you played the final, and the owners didn't know who he was. He was furious.
Wow.
That's so
Furious tree. Yeah, but I met also the.
So you're talking about the new
Yeah, the
American
new owners, new American owners didn't
the
know.
FSG people
No,
were there right now.
I met also the owner of who was doing it now for Chelsea. What's his name? Todd.
Bowley.
Yes, I met him at a meeting for all the clubs that was by Nassar of Paris Saint-Germain was organized, and I was there and the first time, and I said to myself, just introduce myself, I said, okay, I'm Ruud Gullit, and what do you do? No, I played football, played also for Chelsea. Oh yeah, what you did for Chelsea then? When did you? Yeah, no, I was a coach. He didn't know, but can I blame him? No, I don't think so. But this is what it is a little bit, because they don't know about what the club is all about. And I think also your DNA is gone. You have a certain DNA, and that is a little bit gone. You had a good DNA also with Wenger, was gone also a little bit. Now you have a new DNA, new way. And the good thing, what I like, for instance, for Liverpool, is that Klopp gave you a DNA. What is Liverpool all about? And they got another coach who did exactly the same. A little bit, slight difference, but tactically almost the same. That's what you need to do. You don't need to get a new coach who does something totally different. You have to build on that same DNA. And that is what I see with a lot of clubs. They lose that. And that's where the fans get upset because they can't recognize it. They say, what the hell is this all? Yeah, and that is the most difficult part
What
nowadays.
about if it's not working though? Do you think?
What not working?
Like if it's not working in terms of the club and the way they're playing, do you then welcome them new kind of DNAs?
Now, the point is that these clubs, with a history, they have a history for a certain reason. They want to play a certain kind of football that people recognize. And that is, for instance, when I came to Chelsea, Chelsea was in those, before that, was not one of the clubs that was for the title, never. Maybe FA Cup final, but never for a title. And all of a sudden, it started with Glenn Hoddle, you want to play attacking football, you want to play something that people love to see. Now, then I become a coach, and all of a sudden you start to win. And the managers after that did exactly the same thing, okay? And that's what the people want, because they're used to. And then all of a sudden, if they see something that they don't like, there's riots. Milan, same, riots. Chelsea also. People are not happy because they want to see something recognizable that they say, okay, this is it, here we can win with. And that is nowadays with all these new owners, that is difficult because maybe they don't understand what the DNA of the club is when they come in. It's not just you buy a franchise and all of a sudden everything works. No. You need a little bit to know about the club. When Berlusconi bought Milan, he was a fan of Milan. He knew exactly what he wanted. He wanted to play attractive football with a Milan that hasn't won for 14 years, and he wanted to get back to the old days. So, and we see what happens. Same with Real Madrid. Everybody knows what it's all about. And they do that already for years.
But there's always a business side to the game, Ruud. We're not that naive when we played.
No,
there
we
was
know.
business, but that it seemed to be, it was more football than business.
Yes.
Now it seems to be business and then football.
Yeah, and I think that is what the fans irritate. I think the fact that I understand that you have to make money. That I understand, but it doesn't have to be only about money, and that is a little bit the feeling that you get now. And yeah, if this is the right thing, I don't know.
Yeah.
This episode of Stick to Football is brought to you by Sky Bet. This episode of Stick to Football is brought to you by Huel. Protein shifted in the latter part of my career. We were so carb focused in the early parts of nutrition being introduced at United. Then it shifted to protein and the understanding that straight away after a major training session that you'd have to basically sort of load with protein. And then that's not changed. It's sort of even become more apparent, not just necessarily now in sports teams at the elite level, but also I think in sort of mainstream, the population are aware that protein is something that you need to make sure you take in, and the amount of protein that you take in, and sort of particularly when you take it in as well. So yeah, it's something that's developed enormously in this last 20, 30 years. It shocked me last time I spoke to a nutritionist was a few years ago, and I was finding myself sort of like almost questioning what I was eating. I said about lightheaded in the afternoon, and they said, you're not having enough protein, you're not having enough intake of food. And to try and get the level of protein that he told me to was almost impossible in a day without going for something like this. You know what I mean? It's 40 grams of protein, it tastes good, and it takes seconds to make, so get on with it. Right now, new customers can get my exclusive offer plus a free gift at huel.com/the overlap. That's my exclusive offer plus a free gift for new customers at huel.com/the overlap. This episode of Stick to Football is sponsored by Trainline. This season's set for a big finish, and for fans heading to the game, the journey is all part of the experience. Every fan's got their match day ritual, but here's one thing you should add to yours. Open the Trainline app and let them handle the travel. Because on a match day, the last thing you want to be doing is a last-minute scramble to find out the best price train ticket. That's where Trainline comes in. They've got a best price guarantee. That means you won't find cheaper same-day train tickets anywhere else. But even if you do, Trainline will refund the difference. There are no booking fees when you book on the day either, just simple, hassle-free travel that gets you to the game and back without overpaying. You pay enough for your match ticket, don't overpay for the train. You book it, you back your team, and Trainline back your wallet. So whether it's an early kickoff or a late one under the lights, download the Trainline app today. Exclusions and conditions apply. Search Best Price Guarantee on trainline.com. Obviously, we played against you in a semi-final, I think, at Villa Park. When you were player manager at Chelsea, how old were you then at that point? 35, 36?
33, 4, something like that.
So you're so young. Are you the first Dutch manager in the Premier League?
Yes. It was, look...
Was there an element of you just being... Obviously, you're talking about people behind your back scheming, stabbing you in the back. Was that because you were young, or just... Would you have spotted it if you were a little bit older?
It was all about money. It was all about, hey, all of a sudden, we could make some transfers here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Talking about that side?
I'm talking about that side. And I was always blocking that. That's what I found out later on.
So you're talking about basically agents getting into your company?
Agents, yeah, they want to get rid of, they want their players there. But I always said, no, I don't need these players. You saw also when I left,
what players
the players all of a sudden came in. And I said to myself,
what players were you being offered? What players were you being offered?
Oh, a lot of them. A lot of them. I'm not going into the details. No, I'm not going
just
into
look back at the
details.
time.
one
Did you
name.
peel off the back of Gary in the semi-final?
He did.
Yeah,
The header.
Ball
Yes.
watching, yeah, Gary.
Yeah, but I remember that game.
Were you sub and came on?
No.
You start?
I started as a right winger.
I weren't playing against you all game.
And the funny thing was, I would never forget it because, look, the first year in England for me was fantastic because I was used Italian football.
Sweeper?
I started as a sweeper.
Wow.
I remember playing as a sweeper. I played long balls, everybody, but I can see if a ball is too long or not. So I was getting the ball on my chest, and I played it to my centre half, and he said, "What the hell is this?" So I said, "No, this is not." So Glenn Hoddle came halftime. He said, "Really?
Yeah.
I know what you tried to do. It's fantastic. Not here, please. Can you go to midfield, please? So he begged me to go to midfield. So therefore, I played a lot of times in midfield. And then when I played against Man United, I remember that we played really well against you.
Yeah.
And we had a shot at goal, and I think late in the second half, we could score a goal. And Cantona saved it from the line. And I said, Cantona?
Yeah.
How come he's there? He's never there. So unbelievable. So can you imagine how things going? And I said to myself, okay, this was the first year. I had a little bit of a sniff how English football is. And I must say, it was a culture shock for me in the beginning when I came here, because you go to hotels and you go in training camp, and all of a sudden I saw drunken people all the time. People getting dragged out of the bar and things like that. And I was like,
players or just people?
people. No, people.
Just people.
Yeah, because you are in the hotel, and there's hotel parties and things like that. Yes. And it was like a culture. And I remember in Italy, everybody was like neat, and you had your pajamas, you had your slippers and things like that. So first time I came in training camp with Chelsea, and I'm in the hotel, and everybody walks to the room where everybody gets a massage. So I walk there in pajama and everything, and Dennis Wise comes. What the fuck is this? You old? You look like my grandfather. Get this thing out! So okay, I said whoop out.
Yeah, I remember
Throw it in the bin.
Dennis.
So yeah,
He came in
so I had to adjust a little bit to a different culture, and I loved it because I was used 8 years of not going out of the house, not going to shop because I couldn't.
In Italy.
People were all the time, chasing you, things like that. So when I came to London, it was, in the beginning, I was close to the airport in the hotel, and then I got my first car, and then I drove to King's Road. My rims were a little bit hurt by all the curves I made because I had to drive on the other side of the road. I was not used to it. So I drove to King's Road, and I was going out, and I was like 15 minutes still as a prey, like people chasing me. And then after 15 minutes, nobody was chasing me. I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. So I went on a terrace, and I sat for 2 hours watching for the first time other people.
Wow.
So it was like, for me, it was like getting your freedom back. And sometimes people don't realize what it is, because I see people wanted to get famous. They have no clue what it is to be famous. They don't, because everybody wants something of you. They're chasing you, cameras everywhere.
Was that the Italy especially? Was it
Italy?
Was it
Yeah,
quite
but
intense?
Italy gave me a lot. Italy is a fantastic country, beautiful language. Italians love everything what has to do with beauty. So nice watches, nice cars, furniture, clothes, everything, the food, holidays. But they are also very honest about the admiration of things. So they want to touch you. When you're having food, they just come to your table and say, Gullit, please come up. The whole family is coming. So you think, but can I have my food? But no, I'm a Milan fan. You have to give me an autograph. Come on.
Did that annoy you?
Giuseppe. So this is, an invasion in your privacy. But you get used, and in the beginning, of course, you love it. But there comes also moments that you say, I need a little bit time and space for myself.
Yeah.
And the only time and space I had was in the car.
Wow.
Car from training field home. And then still, people were chasing you, because when you had toll, you have to pay for the road. And they saw you, they're screaming at you. So I owe a lot to Italy, but there was a moment that I just wanted to have a little bit of peace back in my life.
Ruud, could you tell us about that Milan team? Because I think that Milan team that you were part of, and almost Pep's Barcelona team, are almost the two teams that they're going to be talked about. Your team is still talked about today. That Pep team of sort of Messi and Iniesta and Xavi is almost like, who is the best team of different. But the Saki team that you went to originally, with obviously the three Dutchmen there as well, I mean, what was that like?
In the beginning, Berlusconi wanted to have a team that played attractive football. In the beginning, we didn't know what to expect. Nothing else, because for us, because Marco van Basten and I were the first one to come. Frank came the second year. And the first year was, with obstacles. We played, in the beginning, we played 4-3-3. Then good game, bad game, good game, bad game. Then Van Basten get injured. And then all of a sudden we had to play 4-4-2. And we had to play against Verona, was always a very difficult opponent for Milan. And we outplayed them. And from there on,
Where did you
we
play?
started.
Where did you play?
I played as a striker with Virdis together. In the beginning, I played as a right winger, then I played as a striker. And all of a sudden, it started to grow. And we worked so immense hard on physical condition and on tactical, especially when we didn't have the ball. So how we get the ball back? By pressing, but you could not have high pressing because otherwise they'd kick it back to the goalkeeper. They could pick it up in his head. So we had to wait and set a trap. And we always kept one side open, so they would go to the fullbacks go forward, and then we press. Nick the ball of them up, and then we play. So that was a little bit the setup. But defensively, it was so well done because in training sessions in the beginning, we played goalkeeper, 4 defenders, 2 midfielders against 11. So I had to play as a right wing. I had to play against Maldini all the time. Couldn't score a goal. Impossible to score a goal.
Against those guys?
Van Basten was playing also against them. So it was in my team. Couldn't score a goal. Maybe from long distance, maybe. But penetration, impossible. Then we played goalkeeper, 4 defenders against 11. Couldn't penetrate. Impossible to penetrate.
Who was the 4 at the back? So Maldini?
Now you have Tassotti, Costa Curta, Baresi and Maldini. And you could not penetrate. It was impossible.
What, with 11v5?
No, you could not get through. You could not go through. So long distance, yes. So, and what they did very well was that it was like an harmonic, movement. So every time when the ball goes back, when you have the ball as a winger, and you can't go past them, you have to go back. But on the moment you go back, they went forward as well. So went forward all the time. Normally, you are a striker. If you are a striker, you don't want to go back. They always want to stay. So therefore, if you go forward and the cross comes, it's always offside.
But is that what they said to run up to the halfway line? That was that?
Nah, not halfway. It was always in between 18-yard box and halfway line. Not so much.
A few clips where Baresi come run.
Sometimes,
people didn't know
yes.
what to do, just the odd time, right?
Sometimes we did, but it depended on the opposition. Right. So therefore, we worked so hard on that. And then we did it also with the midfielders. We played against 11. Then we played just to see how you had to move all the time, and then stopped if it was not good. And so therefore, it was eventually like a machine.
How often were you doing this and how long for?
Almost every day.
And how long for in each session?
Nah, maybe half an hour of that.
You were obviously, you and Van Basten, Rijkaard, even the Donadoni, amazing players at the highest.
Yeah, but you had to do it all the time.
Did you buy into this and sort of...
Nah, in the beginning, you are new. You think to yourself, okay, we had to run so much. I came to the club 89 kilos. Don't know what it is in stones, but 89 kilos. And Maldini was 82 kilos. And I said, oh my God, this guy is fat. This guy is, what is this? So every day I had to be measured. I had no fat, and only muscles and things like that. I said, oh my God, this guy, that's impossible. 89 kilos. Next year, Rijkaard came 90 kilos. And then I said, okay, leave it. These guys running anyway. So, but it was a very strict regime, and we were very serious. It was a very serious group. And when in the first year, we won the championship, and that was a fantastic achievement for us because we were kicked out by Espanyol in the UEFA Cup in those days. So we were not, that good. But then we had a very important match. We were 1 point behind Napoli. We had to play away. So we went with a plane to Napoli, but we had 2 planes. And I said, why we have 2 planes? I don't understand. So 2 planes, we go there, we come in the city. The crowd, the fans saw us. this, throwing everything at the bus. So we were in the Jolly Hotel, I remember. We were on the top floor, something like 20 floors or something like that. And all of a sudden I realized there was another plane with all the food and all the bodyguards there, because they were afraid that somebody would put something in our food so that we had pain in our stomachs and things like that. So therefore, it was heavily guarded, our food. So they cooked it, and the guards they took it. Nobody could touch our food. Then the whole night, they were screaming, shouting, fireworks, and the whole time, okay? But it was new for me. I'd never been in Napoli. So I was like, oh, man, crazy, crazy people here. Next day, we go with the plane, we go with the bus to the stadium. They were throwing oranges and stones. If you saw the bus, it was ridiculous. And following with scooters and shouting and others. And we played a good game there. We won, I think, 3-2. We won that game. Eventually, they applauded us for the way we interpreted the game. But it was also the fact that we were now first. And that was a big turning point to believe in what you tried to do. And Van Basten was just coming back from an injury in those games. He was on the bench on that game. So therefore, it was something that we needed to mold. And what was important, when we talk about DNA, Berlusconi came every Friday. Helicopter, landed on in the training pitch and talked with us. But not like a teacher, but also talking about his business, how his business is doing, and all the things he loved. He wanted to feel the team. He was always there.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because Kasper Schmeichel was saying the same about the Leicester owner. You know, the owners coming in and being hands-on with the players.
Yes.
They loved it, embraced it.
Yeah, we loved it because he was one of us, and he came in this tracksuit also. He was always relaxed, and we loved it. And so therefore he was a little bit also the inspirator also for this team. And what was important was that Milan in those days Berlusconi was a new kid in town. All of a sudden, the most important thing. But you have the establishment in Italy. Clubs who have been there already for a long time. And all of a sudden, this guy comes. So we were instructed carefully not to say anything. Everything that happens in the locker room stays in the locker room. Say nothing bad about the team, nothing about coach, nothing, because they will use it all the time against us because they don't want us to win. They don't want it.
Who is this, like Juventus, Milan?
All the establishment, all the clubs. And of course, Napoli with the Maradona, all of a sudden we came. He won it the year before. So we needed to be focused all the time on how we behaved outside of the pitch, on the pitch and everything, because anything what could happen, they will use it against us. So therefore, we were always silent. We didn't say a word, nothing. And so therefore, it was an interesting year. And I think that the good thing was that everybody started to love the way we played in Italy. So everybody was, okay with it. And that was lovely. And by the way, everyone was good, eh? Every team was good. Because you could only have, in those days, the three best players, only 3 foreigners. And you had the best players in the world were all playing there. So one mistake was a goal. You knew that. Yeah. So it was tough.
Talk to us about Rijkaard and Van Basten. First Rijkaard, because you obviously knew him from young.
Yeah, Frank was not there yet. And I remember Frank had made a big mistake. He signed for 2 clubs at the same time. I said, Frank, you can't do that.
Took the signing on thing.
But when we played this first year, we knew we needed something more. One piece of the jigsaw, the puzzle, was Frank, especially for Marco and I. And we played with the national team, and I know him. I grew up with him. So we went to Sacchi, Berlusconi. You have to buy. Yeah, but this guy's crazy. 2 contracts at the same time. How can you do?
Who did he sign with? So who had Frank signed with?
I think it was Sporting, Lisbon, and the other one I don't know yet. It was Sporting or something. So therefore, we pushed and pushed and pushed. And when Frank came, all of a sudden, it made it much easier for us. Frank was the last piece of that puzzle that we got. And then the second year, Van Basten was fit. Now, he was the main man at the 88 a European Championship, so he was on fire. And I played a long time with him in an also national team, so I was happy.
How good a player was he? Because he's almost like mythical now in terms of his football.
The thing is, he was so unbelievable good. He was tall, but he had the pace of somebody who's small. He was very quick. He was always very small for a long time, and then he grew, but he kept the same pace. So he was always a half a second ahead of everybody. And he was agile, he had an unbelievable technique. He was good with the head, good with his feet, tactically. And he was nasty. He could be nasty as well. So therefore, he had all the ingredients. So for me, he won 3 Ballon d'Ors. Come on, you know.
Or 28.
Yes. Yeah, and he was 27 when he had to stop his career because of his ankle. But it was fantastic to play with him.
We always remember him for the England game, wasn't it, in the '88?
Yes,
the European Championship.
Yeah. Tony Adams' kneecaps are still there. He turned him a little bit. He was like, eh. Yeah, but that is Marco. Marco was, he was so good. He was, it was a shame that he had to stop, but agility-wise, and he was. The thing is also that in Holland, then later on, you had always this comparison with Marco. Every striker had to be there, but he's an exception. Yeah. You can't be like that. Yeah. He had everything, and it was easy with him because I could find him. I knew exactly what he wanted, and
Did that connection come straight away, or was it something that you had to?
No, because he was playing for Ajax. I was playing for Feyenoord and later on PSV Eindhoven. But when we were in the national team, we had that click. I remember. We played as youngsters in the national team. I think we were 19, 20 years old or something. And it still was the old establishment of the national team. And we had to play an away game against Ireland.
I was at that game.
It was with Liam Brady was there also.
Right. I was watching as a kid. Yeah.
And 2-0 down, half-time. And almost screaming, we have to do this and we have to do that, and whatever. And I stand up, I said, no, it's not going to happen. We're going to do it in my way. We're going to do it so. So you're younger. These guys that are 34 years old, played for the national team for a long time. I said, no, we're not going to do it. I was playing as a defender. I said, no, as a defender, I'm going forward. I'm going all the time in midfield and then everything. So everybody's like looking. And we did that, and we won the game.
3-2.
3-2, we won the game. Basten scored, I scored, whatever. And so that was the new thing in Holland. Everybody said, what the hell is this? So the old generation was like, okay, slowly getting out. Yeah. And we had new generation. And it took a while for us to get where we wanted to be, but that was a turning point. And that's where we had the connection, Marco and I.
When I think of playing against Dutch wingers, I think of them as being definitely the best coached wingers that I ever played against in terms of their ability to know how to move into the positions, understanding of the position. The Dutch have got an incredible sort of history in terms of sort of designing the game and designing systems. Who do you feel is most relevant in the creation of that?
No, relevant, Johan Cruyff, of course, with the system with Ajax. Johan was a coach and a player on the same time on the pitch. His abilities were so unbelievable.
You played with him, didn't you, in his last season?
Yes, he was 38, I think.
Yeah.
And I played with him at Feyenoord. That was for me luck that I had that opportunity to play with him.
What was he like in that dressing room?
He was on a revenge. He was treated badly by Ajax, so came to the enemy Feyenoord in order to put things right. And he did, because we won the championship and the cup. But he was there only for revenge. I can imagine he was 38, so it was not easy for him. So he took his time a certain way in training. But there were moments that I said, I want to nick the ball from him. I want to go. And you know these players who are not that big, but they have bony, you know.
Yeah.
And every time you go,
it hurt you.
It hurt.
Wiry.
And he was so quick in the first 5 yards. It was unbelievable. You could not
Even
get him.
38?
You couldn't get him. It was almost impossible. He was so clever, he saw you. So therefore, he was on the pitch all the time, talking. When he had the ball, he was already, come on, move this. So you learned tactically everything from him.
Where did that come from him? Where did this sort of mind come from?
The thing is that I think that he was so ahead of everybody in quality-wise. And in those days, it was slower, but he was already on the pace of now. So therefore, it was easy for him. When he had the ball, he had time. Nobody could get him. So therefore, he had time all the time to point it. And he had his character. And you know the Dutchies, they think they know everything.
They're very confident people.
Yes, yes. We think we know everything. So therefore, it was fantastic. And so that year, when I played with him, in the end, we had a trip to Indonesia. And I was, the same elevator, we had to take the elevator to go home. And then we start talking. And then for 2 hours, we get out of the lift, with 2 hours, we sat together. And he said to me all kinds of things that I could probably, could face during my career. And he said to me, really, when the next club you go, you have to make the other players better. And I said, yeah, but I need still time for myself, He said, no. You have to make sure that you think about the others. It's also to protect yourself. You have to coach them all the time. I said, okay. He said, also, if you want to leave the club, you're going to have a lot of bad things because the fans will not be happy that you leave. Everywhere you go, it's going to be a bad time for you. He says, my days when I left Ajax for Barcelona, people sent boxes with spiders in there and snakes in there. Just, the craziest thing you're going to have. So he prepared me for that. And he was absolutely right.
Wow.
So therefore, he saw something in me that I didn't think I had in me. And so therefore, but I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to play with him.
I want to stay on styles of play, because when you think of Saki and then you think of Cruyff...
Yeah, totally different.
Completely and utterly different.
Yes.
Which camp would you be in if you had to pick one in respect of that?
I think both, because, a guy like Saki also never, faced... because Saki was more like... He was playing attacking football, but he needed to have... The team was the most important thing. So therefore, it was... Johan was an extra in the team. Also, you needed to have discipline, but discipline the way he wanted to play. Johan was more a player who wanted always 4-3-3, always. And he said, yeah, because you have triangles everywhere. Right. I said, yeah, but we played 4-4-2 with Milan. That worked also. Yeah, but because of this. No. We played 4-4-2.
So Johan would challenge you on the 4-4-2?
Yes, of course. But, because we winning everything, what can you challenge? You can argument. But I'd say, yes, I am raised with 4-3-3, good. But you can only do it with very good players. How long did it take Pep to get what he wanted? I think something like 6-7 defenders in order to do what he wanted to do. So therefore, it's a difficult thing. Look at Paris Saint-Germain. All of a sudden, hey, we have something in Liverpool. So therefore, you need to have the right players in order to do what you do. If you don't, then you have difficulty. Look what Pep has now. All of a sudden, it doesn't work.
So you think 4-4-2 is a more simple system to play than 4-3-3?
No, not the most simple. You need also players for that. Yeah. So you need to play a system that is best for your team. The only thing is we have been raised with 4-3-3. So for us, it's easier to adapt to a system like that than 4-4-2. We had to work it out.
In terms of what you're talking about there, we're talking about sort of Saki and Cruyff, and you're talking about 4-4-2 and 4-3-3. But also in Holland, it always felt to me there was almost this sort of fight between Cruyff and Van Gaal, in that it was probably the same system.
Yes.
Going about it, Van Gaal was almost like creating sort of
how
robots.
Van Gaal is.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is almost that free spirit a bit more with Cruyff, even if you're playing in his system, you get a bit more freedom.
Yeah, but I think something happened in Barcelona. Something happened there between them, personal. And I think that started a little bit. It was a pity because, of course, Johan is a legend. You don't go into a legend. Van Gaal is a fantastic coach as well. But that didn't help the Dutch way of playing. And I think that...
Van Gaal didn't help the Dutch way of playing?
No, both of them. That fight of them didn't help because you had a camp here and a camp there. Okay, you didn't need it.
There are a lot of similarities, though, in their style.
It is similarities, but it's just, who was the biggest, who's the best, and everything. It's not about that. But Johan, proved himself also when he was with Barcelona. He proved himself.
I sat on the bench in Barcelona in '94 when Cruyff was the manager. It absolutely destroyed us. And I've never seen football. Have you ever seen football like that played against United? I mean, you talk about United thinking everything was rosy. We got absolutely pulverised by that team.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Yeah.
And what was the reason for it, you think?
I just remember the wingers being stuck on the touchline.
Yeah.
As high and wide as possible, single striker, and just to be in that much space.
Loads of space.
I've never
They
seen
had the
anything
biggest
like
pitch.
it.
They made the pitch wider than everywhere else.
Yeah.
If you play in England, they make it as small as possible. In the corners is high grass.
But Van Gaal,
But they're brilliant attacking
but
players.
Van Gaal in '98, when Van Gaal was the man, exactly the same.
Yes.
2 wide players exactly on the highest point and wide, and that's what Dutch wingers always did. I felt, or players at Dutch coach.
Yes. Yeah, but the fourth is... Van Gaal played a little bit different with Ajax because he had... So nowadays it's all fullbacks also go forward, but he had Danny Blind, who went into midfield, and then the 3 fullbacks went centre-backs. So they played 3-4-3 a little bit, and then they go back again to 4. But it's not 4, because eventually the wingers had to go back also in defence. So therefore, it is all how you interpret it and what you can do with the players. And they're both great coaches. But Johan, of course, stand above everything. He's there, and the rest is just underneath. But
You know, when you watch wide players and forward players now, because I've seen clips of you, 3 players around you, and you just dribble and do. Do you think they play with a bit more fear nowadays?
I don't think it's fear. I think that nowadays the wingers have become fullbacks. They're all fast.
Yeah.
They can run. They can do something. So I think nowadays it's not easy to go past players. I still think that is important for a winger, that on the moment he gets the ball and he has a little bit of room, he needs to go on you. You know how difficult that is. But most of them, they go sideways. That's what you want.
But Ruud, that's been my most frustrating thing in the last, probably I would say, maybe even 2 years now, watching wide players get the ball and not directly go.
You have to go on him.
Because their right foot is now playing on the left. Is that
Yeah,
more
but it
the
doesn't
left?
matter. It doesn't matter. You just go straight at
Go
him.
at him.
You have to go straight. You have to get him on his heels. Get him on his heels, and then you can go left or right. But if you go sideways, that's exactly what you want. And that is the thing that you... I saw last time also, Rashford played for the national team. He did it. Went straight forward. And what happens is because this fullback goes backwards, that gives you room to see for, hey, is there somebody there in the middle? You can still pass it in front. You don't have to go past him. You can go in front of him. You can pass it. And you guys, the strikers are waiting for that moment. Yeah. But now, if he's a right-footed on the left, he goes inside, he wants to have a shot at goal. So as a striker, you think to yourself, okay, what? That's it. That is frustrated for a striker. Not easy.
This episode of Stick to Football is brought to you by Sky Bet. When you left Milan, you went to Sampdoria and you worked under Sven.
It was fantastic. Sven is such a nice guy. You want to work for him. You want to, it was.
And
fantastic.
you 4-4-2 as well.
It was, yeah.
4-4-2.
I played with Mancini up front. I think the most underrated player that I've played with, because he was fantastic. Such a fantastic player. So therefore, it was easy. And I remember in that year, I played again as a striker, because with Milan I played as a right winger a lot. I did training every day after the normal training session. I went training as a striker. Get the ball, one touch, shot. One touch, shot. You don't get time. So in all kinds of situations, with a defender, get the ball and try to get one touch only and to hit it. And then I noticed one thing, and I said to myself, you don't need to hit it hard. You just have to place it.
Thank you.
Place it, left, right. And all of a sudden, I had the heck of it. And then all of a sudden, I scored a lot of goals. Easy goals that you said, that's easy.
But it comes down to,
Yes.
to the
Composure,
to the touch and the composure to just want to hit the target and do the basics right.
Yes. But that is something, I'm not a natural striker. I'm a defender. So as a defender, First, when I played for Haarlem, then all of a sudden, the second year, I had to play as a striker. I said, okay, how do I do it? The only thing I know is what a defender wants me to do. So I can anticipate on that. Then I became a midfielder with the national team, right winger as a national team, then as a defender again.
What was your favourite position when you look back in your career?
It depends on. When you have the experience of playing on a high level, in the midfield is easy. Midfield, because you see it.
Yeah.
I had players from Chelsea, when I play in midfield, they come to me. I mean, Peacock.
Yeah,
Gavin Peacock.
He came to me, he says, buddy, you're always free. How is that possible? I cannot explain it. It's a long story. So therefore, it was easier for me in midfield because then, I had that experience. When I was young, I wanted to be a defender. I don't know if I was a good defender. I was an attacking defender because when I went, first I played for Feyenoord, right winger for a long time. Then I went to PSV Eindhoven. I was a defender again, scoring 15 goals as a defender. Then the last 10 games they say, Rudy, can you play as a striker because we're struggling? Is that okay?
This
Did you mind changing all the time? Was it?
No, look, I didn't mind all the time, but there were moments that I said, look, I want to specialize myself. I want to, and I never had the chance. I always had to adapt myself to the situation. It was always, I gave the coach also the easy way of to say, I can put Rudy always on that side, or I can put Rudy there. And that sometimes irritated me.
I don't think any other country would move you, and lots of players in Holland, by the way, end up playing in different positions.
But they change you sometimes. What they do is that they want you to get you out of your comfort zone in order to understand what is needed.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is good. So if you are at a good team, they will put you maybe with older guys. When you're young, you play with older guys. Try to see how you cope with that and play on different positions, but not all the time. But maybe left back, they're going to play. Okay, play a little bit of left winger. Let's see how you do there, in order just to have the experience. Yeah, that can happen. Yeah.
When you won the Ballon d'Or, what position were you playing that season?
It was half season of PSV Eindhoven as a striker, and then with Milan also half striker, half right winger. So that was I could play so many different positions, but it was not always. I remember we played the European Championship against. Was in 1990. Was in Sweden, and we had to play against Germany, and the German left back. The first thing he did when they had the ball, just go forward, and I had to follow him. So I was playing more right back than I was forward. And then later on, they told me, we were so happy that you played on the right side because we wanted you to have as far as possible from our goal. I said, yes, but I had to do it. Yeah. I did it for the team, but I was not happy.
But in '94, you just said that you weren't happy. Did you leave the squad before the tournament because they asked you to play right wing?
No, the thing was I had spoken with Dick Advocaat. It was also my mistake a little bit. I was a little bit stubborn there. And he got to Milan and we talked about the way how we wanted to play. And we had to play in America. And in America, it's very, very hot. You can't play 4-3-3, pressing all the time. It's impossible. So therefore, he said, we're going to play in this way. I said, okay, it's good. That's fine. I was fit. I was in my best days. And all of a sudden, the first games, that's not what we talk about.
Was it in the tournament itself?
No, before the tournament. And then, I was a little bit, it was an emotional decision. I didn't need to do that. I think I made a mistake there. Later on also, I think I said, my mistake was not to go to him, not to go to his house and talk with it about it. And so therefore...
But you played in this position before, quite a few times.
Yeah, but I knew that this is not the way how you can win it. And then during the tournament, we played so badly in the beginning, and then he changed it to 4-4-2 again. I said,
So you wanted to play as one of the two strikers?
Of course, because we needed, you needed to wait a little bit. It's so hot. You can't play pressing all over the pitch. It was unbelievable. Everybody was, cooking in in America. So therefore, but it was, I think, stupid of me, to do that.
Did you get a lot of criticism at the time?
Yes,
for
of course. Yeah. But I took it.
It happened quite a few times in tournaments where, with Holland, that quite a few. Sometimes you'd have big faults. Euro '96, I think.
Yes,
as well, there was a
we had in the World Cup in Italy. We had it also. There was a little bit of a jealousy of the players that thought, also they had won it as well, but we had to play still Champions League against Benfica, and all of a sudden other players started to talk and be loud.
What, the players that...
They were, the other players.
You?
No.
Against the Milan players, because you were having success as a club.
Yes, so and the attention was all on us.
This is the 1990
So it was
European
like,
Cup final.
it was a horrible atmosphere in that training camp. Horrible.
Who was creating that, Ruud, at the time? Between the Milan players, which is you, Frank and Marco.
The point was this. There was another coach there. And we knew that the most important players knew that we had to have somebody in front of the group who was big enough to put us in our place.
Right.
And so we voted for Johan Cruyff. Some players didn't like it, but we wanted Johan. Then, eventually, they came with somebody else. And why? Because Rinus Michels was the coach of us in '88. Yeah. He didn't want to have a successor who won the World Cup. So he was against it. So he did everything, not Johan, to get there. And we were furious. So you come then with a coach that you didn't want. Yeah. And then you come in the tournament and then the coach says, this is not my team.
Who was the coach in '90?
Was it Beenhakker?
Beenhakker, yeah. This is not my team, but we have to go on with it. So if you start like that, this is not my team. Yeah. Okay. I don't blame him so much for what happened, but it was chaos. And so therefore, I remember before the last game in the group stage, we had to play Ireland again. And Van Basten and I wanted to leave. We said, so we went to the coach.
Pretty awkward, you lot, aren't you?
Yeah, but we are, at least you know what you get, Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You show your feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
So we were there with, we had a mental coach also with him in those days. It was Mr. Ted Troost.
He had his work cut out a bit.
So therefore, he was a mediator. And we were saying, both of us, and we wanted Frank Rijkaard also to be there. And he said, no, leave him, it's okay. So therefore, we said it. We said, look, if this go on, we going. This is not hazard. So we had at least the opportunity to speak ourselves out, what I had to do also before that, okay? With Beenhakker, it was later on. At least we had all our griefs out. What was horrible. Yeah. And so therefore, I said, okay, we stay, okay, and then we played our best games. I scored against the Ireland also. We both went through, Ireland and us, and we played our best game against Germany. We are all over them, and then Frank, Frank spit on Philip. Yeah, and I said, what the hell is this? Yeah, so all of a sudden that, fell apart. But we played really, really well against Germany. We needed to score 2 goals, but we didn't.
When I look back now and I think of the England teams that we played in, we were always deemed to have big characters around that time. But when I think of sort of, none of them would really have done, I don't think, what you're talking about the Dutch doing.
But you need to do that.
I know, I'm just saying, I'm looking at you, the mentality.
Do you think that he would take...
No, he
would do the same thing.
He did. No, but when you think about characters that are willing... When you talk about characters that are willing to question managers, I mean, like you say, the Dutch players, that comes from... You mentioned before about Johan Cruyff being a manager, a player who was like a manager on the pitch. A lot of Dutch players, and even the ones we played with, that mentality is that tactically they feel superior to the rest.
No. They feel that they have to talk about it.
And
you need to explain it to me. So this is a little bit of our mentality. We want you to think about football. We want that. Nowadays, it's also gone, because they don't talk anymore. They get you a pass of 4 yards over your face, and they go, oh, good pass. No, it's not a good pass. So therefore, no, it's all thumbs up. Yeah. But you need to have strong characters. And the thing is, I remember the first time I came to Milan, I did the same thing. I was on the pitch, I said, coach, me now. Came to me, says, Rudy, if you want to talk with me, come in my room, come in my office. And then all of a sudden he realized, like, okay, this is different different environment, different mentality. Okay, don't do that. So when you have something, go to his office, talk about it.
Did you question Saki then? Would you go to
No,
his office?
you go question about certain things, of course, because you want to think, you want to know. Look, when the coach is on the sideline, he has nothing to say. There's so much noise here. So you need players on the pitch who then change the game for you when they recognize the situation. I don't need players who don't say anything and look at the sideline. What do we have to do? No. You need players who, was one of them. That's what makes the difference. You and your team also with Arsenal, you had players there in midfield. Oh my God, Petit, they went there. They talk with you. And that is what you need. And it's not the coach, sorry. It's not the coach who makes the difference. It's the players who make the difference.
Do you think the coach gives them players the power, though? Because we had Serena Wiegman. Obviously, she's still England manager, and without her, we wouldn't have won the Euros. But that's what I'm saying. So direct, so honest. And that was one of the things that she brought into our culture. Like, you have to be honest with each other.
Yeah, we have no filters.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to, but but we have no filters. We say immediately what is on our mind. We think, okay, this is it, and I don't agree with it, but at least you know. And we can talk about it. It's not that we want to fight. No, when there is something there, you take these two and you're going to talk with each other. Yeah. And I remember also with Milan, we had also psychologists walking around there. If there was little issues, we took them immediately. What's going on here? Okay, get it out of the team.
Yeah. Smart, isn't it?
Yes, but because you need it. You can't wait till something happens.
You mentioned physicality before, and we had a presentation in 95, 96, so around the time that Arsene Wenger came in, and it was around the Milan Lab. And we used to this mythical thing, the Milan Lab, of what were...
I don't know.
Because
it didn't exist.
But you remember it though, don't you? The idea that there was this physical...
after there.
Yeah.
Because it was all after. And they said also, I wish we had it already then when we could compare the data what we have now. This was all new. And I have done some things of that Milan Lab, and it was all things that had to do with strength. You get a belt, and the belt was then attached to a machine, and then you had to watch on the wall. There was popping up something, and then you had to jump as quick as possible. So it was reaction
stuff.
Then you had a thing that was a screen in front of you. You had glasses on, and you have to follow the lines, red lines, who goes from left to right, then from right to left. So they were just measuring if you could concentrate you for how long you could, if you were tired. So they could measure that. So they had all these little things. So therefore they checked. And I was there after my career when Ancelotti was coach. And I said, so they could measure already if you were tired, yes or no. And I said, he plays Sunday against Juventus, and Maldini's very tired on that test. Is he playing? Of course he's playing.
That's so true.
That is the thing. I remember also talking with Pep. I said, Pep, with all the data you have, I said, really, I get crazy with all the data. Before I do a training, there's 15 guys who tells me that I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this. After a while, I said, no, who's controlling the training now, me or you guys with data? So eventually, you have to be strict and say, look, till there, and that's it. But and you know what the worst thing also with data is, for me, is that if you tell a player he's tired, he's tired. He's tired. Yeah. And I want to see in training if he can get a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So if he does a little bit more, then also during the games, it will be easier for him. But nowadays, they get him out already. And I said, no, I want to see character-wise what you are able to do when you're tired.
Yeah. Ruud, can I ask you about, it must have been the only time I was on a pitch with you. You were player manager of Chelsea.
Yes.
If you remember this game at Anfield. And you had
I think we lost.
Yeah, you lost.
Yeah.
That's why you brought it up.
No, but you had a defender, I think his name was Bernard Lambord. He got sent off in the first half. And you were player manager, but you were a sub. And I always remember you just got straight off the bench and just took your tracksuit top off.
I don't even remember
and went
that
straight
anymore.
on. You went on centre back, and I mean, I think it might have been the game where Patrick Berger got a hat trick. I think it might have been that game.
While I was a centre back.
Yeah, but you came on at centre back, Your team, I think, had 10, and you just ran the game. And I was only 19. I was in centre midfield with Paul Ince, and the Premier League's got great players.
That's why he ran the game.
No, but it was like Ruud Gullit's like. I mean, the Premier League's got amazing players, but then Ruud Gullit's like one of the best players. Just one of those players that you look at, and I just thought, you're coming onto a game. You're obviously mid-30s. You haven't warmed up. You just took your tracksuit top off and went on, and then went in. And it was just like, oh my God, the levels.
Did he put a show on?
But it's all about when you're a young player coming through and you want to achieve it, and you're just looking at certain things that you can never get out your head. That was like it must have been like you're playing with your mates. There was no warm up. You went straight on. You had 10 men, and I just remember you just pinging the ball all over the place, and I'm just like,
the fans clapping and everything.
Yeah, but the thing is, you don't realise that so much about yourself. You just try to help. Try to do things, and so therefore it is. I loved when I was playing in England. I loved it immediately. I must say, in those days, it was easier to play than now, because in those days England was trying to find more to get close to the European level. So therefore, they wanted European players to come to England to play. First Cantona and.
Zola, Bergkamp.
No, Bergkamp. That wasn't the same time as me. Klinsmann was before us. So therefore, there was a lot of players all the time coming. So it was easy. I remember I played against Wimbledon, and I knew Vinny wanted to make headlines with me. I saw him. So eventually, I go back. I'm with my back against him. I have to get the ball in the corner. And he comes, I hear him. He slide tackles me and everything, and I just jump up a little bit. So he gets me, but not bad. Not bad.
He rode it.
So he gets a red card, and I said, "Now, Vinny, now we're gonna play football, okay?" So, funny thing, we became friends later on because I was at LA Galaxy, and he was an actor there.
Yes.
So I was a lot of times with him. He's a very good guy. So therefore, and Vinny was saying, you were screaming like a little piggy. You got me sitting off and things like that. I said, yes, this is what it is,
This episode of Stick to Football is brought to you by Sky Bet. You went up to Newcastle.
Yes.
How was that?
I love Newcastle. I was hired there to play the same way as Chelsea, in the same style, but it was difficult. That was really difficult. But I enjoyed it. Eventually, we got to the final with you guys.
Yeah.
And you know what the worst thing is? It's in my perception, we played really, really well against you guys.
Do you think so, Ruud?
But, yes, you have to think about your possibilities and what you have. The only thing is that you had 5 players who could score a goal. The perception, I've watched you so many times. The perception that you give me all the time, that I can get you. All the time, that I can get you. But then all of a sudden, there's always somebody who makes an unbelievable goal. And that was so special. So therefore, it almost was like you sucked me in, like, okay, have a little bit more courage. And then, bam. So, and you had such great players up front. So therefore also, you scored 2 goals. And I saw the game later on ESPN Classics somewhere 10 years ago. Yeah. And I was looking at it and we play well. We really do. The only thing is creating opportunities was difficult, of course, but playing was not that bad. And I remember your reaction is the same. I said to Smigel the same thing. He said, no, for me it was okay. It was an easy game. Yeah. So, but if I look at the way we played okay.
Yeah.
When you went to Newcastle, was Shearer kind of coming to the end of his career?
Yes.
Because did you leave him out of a derby game?
Yes, I left him out, yes. Yeah. Later on, I had to laugh. Gary Lineker tried in a show also to defend him when I was with him and Alan. And he said, after a while, yeah, you left him out, yes. I said, yeah, but I was not the only one. I think that Bobby Robson tried to sell him as well, eh? Alan said, don't go there, please. Stop there. So then there was another one. He tried it again with me. And also about a player that was was an older player and everything. And so what you would do in a situation like that? I would put him on the bench. So Alan was like, Alan and I became friends after that.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I think that Alan wanted to protect himself. And I think that Alan was get the wrong information of what I wanted because I wanted him. The only thing is I don't know if he had the same thing with me. I don't know. I think he was very loyal also to Kenny Dalglish, who was coach there.
Yeah.
So therefore it was not easy. And and of course the lesser players are close to him because he has so much power. But these lesser players didn't need to play. But if you stick to him, then you have a chance to play. So therefore, I had this battle about how I have to do this, and eventually, I couldn't win this battle. I didn't want to have a battle, but I wanted to do the same thing. I found it already a miracle that we came to the final already. And for me, one of the key players that was Speed. What a player he was.
Yeah.
Oh, he was a midfielder going bam, forward. And I said to him, no, you're not going to do that again. You're going to be a holding midfielder. You have the technique, ability, passing, everything, intelligence. And he played like this for me. Oh, he was fantastic. All of a sudden, because of him, started how he wanted to play. Yeah. And then eventually, I saw that it was not working. And I went to the board and I said, look, it's not working. I'm not going to get the chance to
So what was
to
it?
change it.
Was it his style of play? 'Cause I mean, listen, in England in the Premier League, is he
No. I
needed
needed him, but I needed him also in different ways. I will give you an example. I was coach of Chelsea. Sparky, Mark Hughes. Mark Hughes. I said to him, you're now 34. Width of the 18-yard box, that is your territory. I don't want you to go outside. I don't want you to chase people. I want you to stay only in the 18-yard box. That's your territory. Oh, yeah, but I'm used to run it. No, that was when you were 26. Now you're 34. I need you to be just there in that area in order, and I want you to save your energy. When we did training and we did running, the others had to do 10. After 5, you go inside, have a massage, okay? Because you're getting older, you have your experience. And Mark thanked me. In the end of his career, he could win a trophy and also be important for us because I had also an argument with Vialli because Mark Hughes was playing better than Vialli. And I had to be honest, and even when Vialli was a friend of mine, but I had to be honest. So I put Mark Hughes there with Zola. Yeah, it was not bad up front. So therefore, you get always these little arguments if you want to play in a way that is the best for the team. And I think that I needed Alan, but in the way he was playing, not so much because I didn't have the players to do what he wanted.
Who did you play up front in that game against?
I had Ferguson also up front, but I don't know.
I don't think you played.
Duncan was not there. It was the second year. I don't know anymore. I don't know.
Was it the game? Obviously, leaving Alan Shearer out is massive. And
yes.
For an England manager, it was the same. But
yes.
Was it Sunderland though? It was against
Sunderland as well.
1-0 up, and then it was raining like hell and everything. And then when one moment they had a big pass up front, went in the pond, everybody went past it, and then the guy just chipped it out over the goalkeeper. Yeah. So therefore, then you feel okay. And I think, no, this is maybe not for me.
Did you know you were in trouble at that point?
No, not trouble. I just said to them, I went to the board, I said, look, I don't think this is for me. I don't think it, and they begged me to stay. They begged me to stay.
Who was this at the time? Was it Kenneth Shepherd?
Shepherd, yes.
Freddie Shepherd, sorry.
Freddie, yeah. And we became friends also because of that. Because I said to him, look, I don't need the money. I just want to end the contract. I said, I'm very thankful for what I have, what I could do, but this is not for me. This is not the way, the club where you can do it.
What was making you say that?
Because I knew that I could not change the environment on that moment.
What, the players or the fans?
Players-wise, the way of playing, I could not change that. So therefore, I was right, because later on they relegated. I knew exactly what was going on, but I had not the power to change that. And
Why couldn't you keep them the same? Because Shearer scored 5 goals in a game, he's still blasting.
I know, but he was not doing at that moment the things that we needed to do in order to play. And I think he understood that as well. We became friends after that. And I remember, because we were trying to protect our way of playing. And also, I don't blame him for that. Never did. And later on, we were in Brazil. And we were in a hotel, on top of the hotel. And we were laughing together, drinking some beers and everything. And his wife comes to us. He says, I can't believe this. You were the biggest enemy in our house, and now you are sitting together, laughing, being together. What is this? And I said, yeah, this is what it is. This is life.
But maybe that honesty then made respect. And,
Oh, yes,
you know
yes.
what I mean? I think
Yeah,
people
because
respect
Alan
that.
is a great striker. I needed him to do a little bit different in order to make it work. But I think he was not informed well of the intensity that I had from the beginning. And I think that was a little bit of like, maybe also my fault, because maybe I had to talk with him more and tell him what I really needed. But yeah, there were too many players that, stuck to him, but were not good enough, not to play the game that you needed to play in order to make that step.
Very tough for you to do that for him at Newcastle.
Very difficult.
He is
difficult.
Newcastle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the biggest problem that you also had was not everybody wants to go there. You have to really get with a good plan in order to go there. And I think that the biggest success they had when Keegan was coach there. They had the best team they had. Didn't win it, but I think that. But now that I won a trophy, I'm so happy for them.
And there's a bigger club down the road in Sunderland. So
Yes,
that's
Roy.
Yes,
Roy.
yeah.
Yes.
This episode of Stick to Football is brought to you by Sky Bet.
Ruud, can I ask you how important, because you obviously won the Ballon d'Or, you were the best player in the world in the late 80s, and I got to know you doing a little bit of TV, and I can't believe how humble you are and sort of normal guy, because you don't meet Messi or Maradona at all. You were at that level. Yeah. I mean, how important is that, you think, as being seen as the best player in the world, but also being humble and having that humility?
I think it comes also from your background. I remember, like I said, I went to Chelsea just because I wanted my life back. After a while, in 2000, I was fed up with the whole image, so cut my hair off, everything. I wanted to be, just swallowing up in the crowd. Just wanted to be like everybody else. I just wanted to enjoy my life. So the first year was fantastic when I cut it off because nobody recognized me.
Wow.
After a while, people then know who you are. But I just like life. I like people. I like to enjoy the things of life. I'm very positive in my way of how I see things, even though things are not going always your way. But the thing is that I've been on the mountain, and that mountain is lonely. And the first thing you need to learn when you are on the mountain is to say no. Because everybody wants something of you, everybody's nice to you, everything is possible, but you have to learn how to say no. No, I'm not going to do that because I want to stay home. And you want to be with your family, and you are a professional. That's the most difficult part. And I see people, I've met a lot of people in my life, and the most nicest people are the people that just love the things that they want to do. They don't want to be famous. It comes with the territory. They don't like it. They don't want it. They just, because they're good in what they do. The ones who want to become famous are the nastiest I've ever seen in my life. A story from my life. I can't help it. Because they think that, that they are something special, but they aren't. So therefore, in life, for me, I've been on that mountain. I had to laugh when I was coach at LA Galaxy, and I said to David Beckham was there. I said, David, I don't want to trade with you. I've been there, done that. I said, I can't live like that. How can you do that? And he says, yeah. I said, can't you just go with your own car? Just on the highway. He said, no, Rudy, can't. Because people chasing me all the time. People want bad things. They don't want nice things out of your life. So therefore, he needed to have all these people around him to protect him. It's horrible. I find it horrible for myself, how I live. But he can't go anywhere else. And I really must say, I admired him, how he handled it, because he loves football. He was very, very, very fond of going to the training ground, working hard, and still have that other life, you know, around it. It was amazing to see. So therefore, I would not want to change my life with him, because it's so intense all the time, every day, everything you say, do, whatever, photograph. But I admire the way he handles it. Yeah.
Ruud, can I ask you about the locks? Because when we were young, the locks and having locks was it was something like a taboo. You couldn't have it. You couldn't
have it in England?
Couldn't have it. No one could have it. So when everybody saw you in '88 and you scored, remember the goal you scored and the locks flew forward. They used to have it when I go to the youth club. Do you realise how impressionable that was in respect?
I don't know. No,
so when you were cutting it off, how did it feel when you cut it off?
It was a relief for me, because it was like people recognize you, you know, on your hair. They recognize you. I see sometimes people from the old days, they still have the same haircut.
Yes.
You know, like it's me, you know. And I didn't want that. I wanted to cut it off. So therefore, I was like, it was a relief for me, you know, that people don't recognize you all the time about your hair. And of course, when you started it, I remember I was just watching Noah, the tennis player.
Yes,
Yannick. I liked it.
Yeah. Yannick.
Yeah, Yannick. But his hair was fake, eh?
Yes, it wasn't.
It was not even real.
Because that's what they thought. Everyone was thinking, that guy's hair ain't real. We was all saying it, but then...
Yeah, it was fake. Real. But nevertheless, it was like, I like, you know, and I was into reggae music. So I was just, you know, swirling my hair all the time at home, all the time.
Did you get any pushback from people saying you can't have your hair?
No.
Why couldn't you have your hair like that in England, right?
I don't know.
It was something that when all the guys, when they was younger, when they used to go for trials, they used to say they didn't let me get through the trial because I had dreads, I had locks and all
really?
stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Stuff
They don't
like that.
see you serious. They take you serious.
They don't take you seriously.
Yes,
you know,
I know
that's something that used to happen.
I can understand it. Yeah, that
there were some guys who used to locks up their hair. You know, like even like someone like Jazzy B. You speak to Jazzy B. I love Jazzy, and he'd say he used to shave this part of his head, but this was locked up so he could put a hat on so his mum and dad wouldn't see him.
In those days, I didn't mind so much what people were saying anyway. You know, you let your feet, you know, do the thing and all the other things.
But it felt like we was watching Bob Marley playing football.
Yeah, but the thing is, I just because of the reggae music and everything, you know, I loved it, and I was just, you know, eventually I got the locks.
Yes.
And yeah, it was. Do you wash it? Yes, of course I wash it. Of course you wash it. Yeah, so therefore...
I had to mention the locks because it's massive.
Yeah. But
you know, my first pair of football boots was the Edgar Davids one, and I used to take my hair out and put my sunglasses on, running round the back lanes of
Of course, because you look like you wanted glasses.
I wanted to be like Edgar Davids.
Seydorf said it also to me. You were also, like, I was an inspiration for them. In order to, so he does it, he can do it as well.
Yeah.
You don't realize that so much. You only hear that later on.
Exactly.
But yeah, I was fearless. I was not afraid to go anywhere or to play my football. I just enjoyed it to be on the pitch, and all the other things was just, you know, come to the territory. Yes. But you have to learn, and you know, and to read people, because everybody has a story. Everybody has something. There's all sharks around you everywhere. And that is something that you have to learn.
Jaws,
yeah. Sharks around you all the time. And people come with nice stories. Yeah, if you come here, if you do that, blah, blah. You know, no. It's not like that. So you have to learn how, you know, and I think that the bad things helped you more than the good things. I think the bad things in life makes you wonder, okay, it's not always like that, so you have to put your shoulders on it, and then you have to come out of it and work yourself back into whatever it is. And so therefore, I love the bad moments in my life. I cherish the bad things in my life, yes.
Ruud, that's a great place to finish. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
Ruud Gullit.
Thank you.
Great place to finish. The bad things in my life.
There was a statement made this morning in the meeting we had before that you were the best player that we've ever had on Stick to Football.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah?
You see,
Is that,
have you seen with...
do you agree with that?
He's
second,
the most
Dennis
used
Irwin.
midfield. He's the most
Second half,
used,
Dennis
Ruud, you
Irwin,
have to sit
mate.
down.
most used midfield on the game.
I thought you would have gone Glenn.
Ruud, you have to sit down a little bit just for a picture.
Oh, sorry. Just for a picture.
Your hero.
Oh.
Fucking hell.
It's my dreads.
You're welcome. Okay, guys. Good luck with the show. Hey.
Thank you.
Nice. Good, huh? Yeah, but good bullshit. But good bullshit.